Hello, everybody. My name is Yelena Kolosova, and I'm doing my voiceover on the poster presentation that I did for prevention strategies for communicable diseases and safety in immigrant populations. And I do apologize for my voice. I'm trying to fight off a flu. So, introduction. Immigrant parents face unique set of psychological challenges when raising children in an unfamiliar society, and they are prone to role reversals between parents and the first generation children. This reversal is due to various risk factors such as language barriers, unfamiliarity with the dominant culture, also economic stressors, and lack of social support. In order for parents to maintain their dominant role in the family and become more acculturalized to the new society, they must be educated about issues concerning their children. So, what is so significant about immigrant populations and, health promotion or disease prevention strategies? Well, the size of foreign-born populations have been increasing. And here, as we can see on the left, just 30 years ago, it went from 14.1 million to 40.1 million. And also another, excuse me, important factor is in 2012, that's only 3 years ago, 85% of the foreign-born population ages 5 and older spoke a language other than English at home, which also leads you to believe that the parents were not fluent in English. Also, factors contributing to vulnerable population are low socioeconomic status, immigration status, not speaking English, or no social support. So the immigration populations are actually vulnerable populations. Some of the Healthy People 2020 objectives that my health promotion was trying to accomplish is the reduction or elimination or maintenance of elimination of cases of vaccine preventable diseases. And the goal would be to increase the routine immunization rates and reduce preventable infection diseases. Another objective is to reduce adolescent and young adult perpetration of and victimization by crimes. The goal for that would be to improve the healthy development, health, safety, excuse me, and well-being of adolescents and young adults. So the assessment consisted of population, and at that daycare, they're licensed to care for children ages basically from birth to 13 years old, and they had a total of 14 children. Their ages varied from 8 months old to 12 years old. And the population also included the parents, some single parents, and also married. The sources that I used for my assessment was on site. I went in and I assessed both the children and their parents. Also, I distributed a questionnaire to the parents. And to get more information on my health promotion, I looked through the peer-reviewed journals and public records. Some of the data that's significant here: the majority of the parents, 75%, and about half of the children, that was 35%, the primary language was Russian. And I should also mention that the specific daycare was for the parents who did not speak English, so they received assistance from the government to, have their children taken care of while they attended the local community college to learn English. So all of the parents there, they were all taking ESL classes, granted at different um, levels. Um, the strategy that I employed to gather my assessment was I assessed the parental learning needs. I through a questionnaire, came up with a questionnaire with as far as like what their knowledge was of different immunization and safety for the children, and what they understood, kind of like true or false questionnaire, and also verbally when I was interviewing them. I also interviewed the daycare workers. And the priority was there were a few common concerns and issues related to health promotion, childhood health promotion and safety that I've decided to base my interventions on. The theoretical framework that I chose to work with was the bioecological systems theory, because it's can be used in the community setting, since it helps to identify potential stressors and also resources to help the family adapt. And it can actually, like I said, when it's used in a community setting, we're not looking at just one family, we're looking at that community. In this case, it was the daycare population, which consisted of both children and their parents. And what I like about this systems theory is that it has different levels that can actually like affect the family, and the family can affect the different levels. For example, when we're looking at the microsystem, which is the family, the intermediate family, the neighborhood, school, and public health system, then there's the mesosystem, which the family interacts with, but not on a daily basis. Maybe like a social worker or like a home health nurse. There's also the exosystem, and it's external environment that's influencing the family indirectly, like the school board, economic state of the country, welfare, things like that. And then there's the macro system, which is more broader, such as cultural values, attitudes, beliefs of the surrounding community. And then we have the chronosystem, and these are the changes that influence our family throughout their life. Could be like death or disaster. So sorry. Okay. Some of the issues, barriers that I encounter were different cultural values, English as a second language or not speaking English at all, social and economic status, undermining from the children, and the non-compliance with recommendations such as vaccination, things like that. Assets, some of the positive was the desire to learn from the parents, desire to become more encultured into the mainstream society, desire to give their children the possibilities that they didn't have. And also they had familiar support. They were very kind of like a close-knit society. Skills needed were speaking and writing English. And then the resources and materials needed were either interpreting services for those who didn't speak English, more support from the school system, and then educational intervention in native tongue. A little bit about research that I did when researching this immigrant population and the different barriers or problems that they face within the community. There was a research done by Kowal, Jardine, and Bubella, which showed that most of the immigrant mothers, they're not very knowledgeable when it comes to vaccinations. And they're kind of like passive about it. If the doctor says they need to do it, their kids need to be vaccinated, then they do it. Otherwise, they don't get the information and they feel like they're making these decisions on behalf of somebody else's recommendation. And then another one study by done by Oznobishin and Kurman show that the immigrant families face the child-parent role reversal, okay, and which throws the parent-child dynamic off. This is when the parents are actually relying on their children, often teenagers themselves, on various interpreting services, things like that, which throws everything off. And then another article by Zhu and Perry just stresses that when addressing any health promotion in this particular population, there are a lot of difficulties to overcome, and it's important that we're aware of those difficulties. Otherwise, our promotion won't be as effective. And they were talking about like cultural, linguistic, health literacy, socioeconomic barriers, things like that. So my interventions for my health education program, I did teaching on prevention strategies for communicable diseases. I taught the parents about immunization, how routine immunization prevents diseases, just making sure that they understand like the seriousness of vaccine preventable diseases, because nowadays there's a lot of I guess misconception going around as far as autism being a side effect of the vaccines. And when parents don't vaccinate their children, it actually affects the communities if there was to be an outbreak. So I spoke about chicken pox, and different infectious diseases in the US, like chicken pox. There's the whooping cough. I spoke about rabies, salmonella, Lyme disease, and shingles, and just what it looks like, what are the signs and symptoms, what can be done to prevent. I'm not going to go into detail here. It's a long lecture. I also taught about hand hygiene, because it offers safety from illnesses, and it actually gives a person to take like an active role in their health. So this was more geared towards the children. I had a lot of fun with them. We played different games where, like repetition. By repetition, they were kind of like incorporating these health habits, and there was like the glow light that they used, and just had a lot of fun with the kids. Another prevention strategies that I taught about, and this is due to the request of the parents, is the internet and neighborhood safety. For the internet, the parents were pretty concerned because some of their kids were school age, and then they had to do different projects on the computer. And it turns out that some of the kids were taking advantage of their parents not understanding, the whole internet thing, and different, websites, and they felt like parents felt like they couldn't really protect their children. So I taught about just different ways to set up parental control by blocking software, using child safe search engines, and they were all cost free. And I provided information on that, and also the community neighborhood safety. Also, parents expressed the desire to find out how to see where there's any sex offenders living in the area. And there was an awesome actually website that I found that is also free, which just allows somebody to put in their zip code, and it will any registered sex offenders or it will pop up, and which was very helpful. We're really happy about that. Okay, as far as budget, I think looking at this realistically, to actually hire a public nurse to go through different daycares, especially the ones that English is a second language, and to address any of their concerns is going to be very costly. I just don't see, like at this point, how that can be incorporated into like a community or a district. It's just too expensive. For basically my goals for this project were to identify the health promotion for selected population, which I chose, create educational strategies and provide population specific teaching to address these topics, and since a majority of parents did not speak English, I was able to teach also in Russian, which I'm fluent in. So that was a lot of help for them. And another goal was to identify community resources to meet proposed needs of the population. And that was I actually found some online information for the parents to use, like I mentioned about the safety, the internet, and the neighborhood, and also immunization. Outcome measurements, the way I evaluated this was I performed a pre and post survey to evaluate my teaching effectiveness and whether the parents had any questions or maybe misconceptions that I could have addressed. So, in conclusion, there is an increased need for health promotion within the immigrant population, because upon assessment, there was a lot of misconceptions. It was just kind of like word of mouth, and turned out most of the parents didn't know different vaccines that the children were supposed to have or why, and that lack of knowledge actually made them very almost like hostile when I started talking about it. They felt like they were powerless because, for their children to attend school, they had to have um, these immunizations, and the parents didn't want to, but felt like they were forced to do it. Yeah, so my my overall, conclusion was we do need more resources and staff to address the various barriers for health promotion among these populations. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you.